So Ethan Klein has responded, or his lawyer has responded to the H3Snark. It is a very long read. I finished up with the motions. I'm going through the lawyer's declarations. I think the lawyer declaration is like 150 pages. So the motion wasn't too bad. It's probably 30 pages. 157 from their lawyer and 93 from Hilla and Ethan Klein. So we're talking about 250, almost 300 pages of reading. That is a lot of reading. It's not as dense as the 740 pages H3Snark, but that's what you get, right? You do have to respond to these things. And when somebody lies about you, it is your right to respond to those lies. And probably it's in your benefit to respond, because then the judge looks at that and it's like, oh, it's a lie. So the main takeaway that I have gathered from is they have a real lawyer who I assume he went to law school based on how he wrote the response. And it's very professional. There's not much snark. The H3Snark was, in my opinion, very unprofessional. It was written from the perspective of an H3Snarker. There are interesting quotes and takeaways, and it really does address the copyright issue of Denins. So the focus of it is you have to prove that Denins is, you have to give a probable cause that Denins is guilty of copyright infringement, because that's how you can get these individuals for contributory copyright infringement. So a lot more effort is placed towards actually copyright, which I'm sure the judge is appreciative of, because that's what the case is about. The case is not about harassment. It is not about online harassment. It's not about defamation. It's about copyright infringement. And at the end of the day, that's all really you should focus on. Now, is it very lengthy? Yes, but that's typical of a response. Did it take a lot of money to make this piece of paper? Yes. It took a lot of billable hours. It took a lot of research, took a lot of writing. Even like, if you just think about this, even somebody writing this out would cost so much money. So in my opinion, that's kind of the dichotomy. I have to read all of it. I haven't read all of it, but one seems very professional in terms of tone and how it's written. And the H3Snark just seems like they're throwing stuff against the wall. And it's a lot of stuff against the wall, but none of it is really relevant to copyright infringement. So the case is copyright infringement. Does Denins have a case? Now, they did lay out their case against Denins. It's interesting. So you can actually see, and if Denins' attorney is smart, which they are, Denins' attorney costs a shit ton of money, so they're very smart, they could prepare, because in order to get H3Snark to win this subpoena, this battle against them for the subpoena, they need to prove that Denins, or they need to show that Denins could be guilty of copyright. And I think they did a really good job of doing so. So that's the main part about their arguments against Denins, is very clearly laid out in this document, even though it is not advantageous to do so, because now Denins can come up with the response. And again, I think H3Snark is the main target. It is there in all three lawsuits. I think if Ethan and Hilla had the opportunity to take down H3Snark mods, they would rather do that than take down Denins or Frogan or Caseytron. And I think this is kind of where they are, because they have a lot of personal details on H3Snark is crazy, right? It's crazy. Again, they're still talking about this, and there's a lot to read, and there's a lot to go over. The H3Snark mod's counterfactual narrative is to paint themselves as victims when they are the victimizers. Due to the repeated abuse, harassment, and falsehoods, the H3Snark mods have directed at us, our lives are forever changed. We are no longer comfortable appearing in public, not just for our safety, but we have been repeatedly confronted by complete strangers claiming we advocate and participate in the genocide of Palestinians. Due to the constant threats we have received, we are both seeking concealed carry permits to defend ourselves and our children. We no longer do live events out of fear for our safety and the safety of our employees. Our employees have also suffered significantly, being constantly accused of working for advocates and participants in genocide, and one being falsely reported to ICE, which is crazy bad, guys. We have lost many relationships, both personal and professional, due to false assertions that they have spread about us. Our free children have suffered as well, not just from the DCFS investigations. We're no longer comfortable taking them on play dates as our presence could threaten the safety of innocent children. That's sad, man. There are two sides of the story, right? And we hear the H3Snark side, and then you really hear like the impact that this has had on Ethan and Hilla. I have a 1-year-old daughter, and we would love to go on play dates and stuff, and they can't even take their kids on play dates because they fear for the safety of their kids and the other kids as well. That's that's the reality of what these H3Snarkers have done, and they're still laughing about it. It's all fun and games until it's you, right? Until like your name is now being, or your anonymous name is now being mentioned. This is the real life effect of what H3Snark was. Again, as a dad myself, this is pretty weird to think about that, right? It is how big of an impact they would have. So that's an interesting part, right? But they are amusing themselves, for it is their adversary who is obligated to use words responsibly, since he believes in words. The anti-Semites have the right to play it. They even like to play with discord for giving ridiculous reasons. They discredit the seriousness of their interlocutors. They delight in acting in bad faith, since they seek not to be persuaded by sound argument, but to intimidate and disconcert. If you press them too closely, they will abruptly fall silent, loftily indicating by some phrase that the time for argument is past. It's just really hard to talk to these individuals. Oh, what is snark brain? The term snark brain is the equivalent to saying someone has drunk the Kool-Aid regarding snark. It is to express the lack of critical thinking and cultureless behavior that snarks exhibit. So, yeah, it is a crazy. It's a very interesting document. It's very interesting. There's a lot to cover, but it does paint you a serious, just how the H3Snarkers mods, they painted themselves as, oh wow, this will affect my life, and this will affect my job prospects, this will affect my family and my friends. This has already affected Ethan Klein. I think this is a Grundig's response. It's already affected. So it's all fun and games when you're anonymous and you're ruining someone else's life. But it's no longer fun and games when it's your life at risk from the same reaction. It's physics, right? Every action has every action has a reaction. Well, if you are so confident and so happy to do this to someone else, when the time comes and people do it to you, are you still laughing? Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Yeah, that part about the play date thing, it's very important if you're a parent to understand. Yeah, and that must suck for them, right? That must suck for them. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. We'll probably do a bigger review once I'm done reading it sometime tomorrow.